Man, if the slicer just went a few inches further, this game would have a very different rating.
Oh hey, it's one of those new items. What does it do? Ah!
Sonic Racing Crossworlds is the upcoming brand new title in the Sonic Racing spin-off series. I can't say that I'm as invested in this series as I am in the main games, but I still have some fun with the racing games. This is mainly to say that when the trailer for this game was shown in the Sony State of Play and on the official channel, my thoughts were basically, hey, this game looks cool. Okay, back to editing. But as I saw more info come out in the following days and got a little push from the community post, I decided to take on this side quest and talk about this. Since there are probably a lot of new fans coming in from the latest movie and Sonic X Shadow Generations, I'll quickly go over all the racing games that led up to this one. So get comfy, grab a snack, and fix your goddamn posture. Your back is gonna give up on you before you reach 30. And let's start this crash course on Sonic's competitive racing. It starts in 1994 with pain and suffering. Okay, truth be told, I haven't played Sonic Drift 2, or Sonic R, so I'm gonna guess that they were released to compete with Super Mario Kart and Mario Kart 64 and leave it at that. Trust me, it's for the best that we do. Sonic Riders was the next attempt in 2006, and fun fact, it was the first Sonic game that I got along with Heroes. Instead of karts, the characters used air-powered boards, skates, and bikes called Extreme Gear. Riders really locked in on the racing aspect instead of the unload your entire item artillery onto other players aspect that is iconic to Mario Kart. As such, a lot of the items in this game give you rings or air, and offensive items are very scarce. In fact, there are items that slow you down if you're in first place. Okay, who thought this was a good idea? The main strategy was to be good at navigating the course while taking advantage of your character's special ability, your Extreme Gear's gimmick, leveling up by collecting rings as quickly as possible, and attacking other racers with your boost.
Your Jordans are completely fake!
I enjoyed this unique approach to the genre, and ended up playing so much that I bought and unlocked all the Extreme Gears in the game. As a kid, I loved this game so much, but because I could only play on weekends, I would get through the week by sniffing the game CD for that fresh game CD. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity definitely simplified a lot of the game's mechanics, but it was decently fun in its own way. Instead of character abilities, the actions you can do and the shortcuts you can take are determined by the type of gear you choose. Collecting rings doesn't level up your character, instead it funds the ability to unlock upgrades for your Extreme Gear mid-race, clearly inspiring EA's modern game design. I like Zero Gravity. I thought the story mode was a little bit more involved and gave the fan-favorite Babylon Rogues a bit more depth, despite a few hiccups here and there. The new gravity mechanics were fun in their own way, and despite it getting a bit stale over time, I'd still say that it's a solid game overall. And then there's Sonic Freeriders. Yeah, this game can go gargle an industrial sewer system for all I care. The game definitely had some potential, but any trace of said potential was hunted down and executed by Sega's decision to make the game exclusive to the Xbox Kinect.
Oh shit! Tell me I did it! I swear to God!
That was tricky, huh?
I actually hate this game!
Considering that this game flopped and Sega basically abandoned the series' fans by not making any Riders sequels for years, I will give this game the same value they did and not speak about it any further. So anyway, if you're a newer fan and you were wondering why so many people were excited to see a green bird on a board, it was a payoff for 15 years of thoughts, prayers, and neglects. I won't go too in-depth with the All-Star series and Team Sonic Racing since they are fundamentally kart racing type games with different items and wisps, and any of the bigger changes are ones that I'll mention while talking about Crossworlds since it does pull quite a bit from those games. Overall, the All-Star games are fun and replayable since you can unlock different Sega characters to race with, as well as some characters from other franchises like Team Fortress, Wreck-It Ralph? Simon from the Yogscast? Team Sonic Racing was the one I spent the least time with. I just couldn't get into the team mechanics. If you liked it, good on you. I hope you had fun, but I'm really glad they're going back to a free-for-all style with Crossworlds. However, I will give credit to Team Sonic Racing for having an incredible soundtrack because some of these remixes are among my favorites. But that's enough about Sonic's racing history, let's get into the current competition. The first look we got for this game was a cinematic trailer where Shadow walks into a garage, takes his car, and drives off. It's likely meant to bring in new fans who played Shadow Generations, but the thing that really caught people's eyes was the Extreme Gear in the background. Fast forward a couple of months and we get an announcement trailer that gives off a vibe similar to the Olympic Games spin-offs if I'm being honest. We see a freeze frame of the various racers, the first shot making sure that we see Jet on his Extreme Gear. The second shot was interesting to me because we see Sage in a kart that's modeled after Giganto. I know the Titans basically vanished in Frontiers, but I now have a headcanon where Eggman saw the Titan models and his first thought was, go-karts. The rest of the trailer is basically a bunch of quick clips of various different racers, karts, boards, and courses. The Dinosaur Jungle course inspired from Secret Rings was pretty cool, and the Purple T-Rex definitely brought back some childhood memories of jump scares. Overall, the trailer was more of a showcase and didn't really give details about the game's mechanics, so I questioned whether there was anything to really talk about. In the following days, this changed very quickly in the form of videos from people or companies that got hands-on experience with the game, and an instructions manual on the Sega JP website, which is apparently meant for those who are participating in the PS5 exclusive open beta. Based on this new material, it's fairly evident that Crossworlds is using All Stars Racing Transformed as a template, and is borrowing elements from Team Sonic Racing along with a few unique additions. There's not much info on the extreme gears yet, but I have a theory that they're taking the Mario Kart route with the cars being like heavier carts and boards being an equivalent of the bikes. If what I'm thinking is true, it's a little disappointing since it feels like the Rider Series mechanics like type advantage or specific shortcuts aren't coming back. I understand why mechanics like this could be conflicting and inconsistent with the All Stars Racing template, but man, just let me have a dream. Getting into the gameplay itself, the controls are easy enough to grasp. The accelerate button is on R1 and R2, which is how it's been since All Stars, but I can't help but think that is reminiscent of the boost button being mapped to R2 in the recent mainline games. The other change is that air tricks are on the left analog stick, unlike previous games where it was on the right stick. I think this is a good change, keeps things simple, and reminds me of the trick controls in the original Riders. The controls for the flight and boat cars are about the same, no major changes to note here. One aspect that is noteworthy is the Crossworlds mechanic. At the end of the first lap, the racer in first place basically chooses one of two rings, and all the racers have to navigate the course chosen for the second lap. Now, it's not mentioned in the manual, but people who got to play the game pointed out that you return to the original course, albeit a modified version of it, in the final lap. The items you can pick up mid-race are a mixture of wisps and items that are similar to what you see in All Stars. Now, I could talk about how many of these items are similar to the Mario Kart versions, but I think that this edit speaks for itself.
But if you close your eyes, does it almost feel like no?
So let's talk about some of the other ones that I thought were really cool. The laser wisp feels similar to the drill, but based on the text, it locks on to the other racers and maybe ricochets off of them like they're prisms? I don't know. The warp ring basically sends you one position forward and hits the racer in front of you. We have this abomination that gives you rings, and a 100 ring item that is fairly self-explanatory. It's mentioned that the rings increase top speed, so these items kinda remind me of the Riders level up system. There's a slime item that obstructs other racers' vision, and has probably provided DeviantArt with a new surge of inspiration. A bomb that increases in size as it's held, which makes me think that it could be a risk-reward system where if you hold it for too long, it detonates on you. There's a dark chow which grants everyone a random item, the void wisp which basically attracts items and rings like a magnet item that can be placed on the track and sucks in racers like a black hole void. Wait, what? There's a lot of stuff, and I do think it'll keep races exciting. I can let go of the Mario Kart similarities since racing games with items do need offensive, defensive, and speed items, and there's only so many ways to implement them. Let's talk about customization. Sega realized how big they made it with customization, so they were most definitely going to add this feature. There are a lot of gadgets that you can use. Ones that let you increase or swap your stocked items, ones that give you increased odds of obtaining a certain class of item, ones that give you various ways to get more rings, and my favorite category, the gadgets that change how you drift. Drifting is my favorite mechanic in racing games, so much so that my controllers even have drift. There's just something about pulling it off that feels satisfying as all hell, so seeing gadgets that let you change how you drift and use techniques and timing to gain speed is the best thing I've ever seen. And with that, I've covered nearly everything about what we've seen on this game so far, and I think it's going to be a fun experience that'll tide people over until the next mainline game. There are some small details here and there that I might have missed, but I'll be leaving links to the gameplay footage trailer and the instructions manual if you want to take a closer look yourselves. If you like this type of video, I got a review of Sonic X Shadow Generations that I'm pretty proud of, and as you saw at the start, I'm also working on a really big video essay project, and I'm praying to every caffeine god I know to give me the strength to finish that before the next mainline game is announced. I also do Let's Plays. In fact, I'm gonna get back into it after the big video essay just to vary up the content, so if any of that interests you, subscribing, commenting, and liking the video is the best way to convey that to me, and hopefully I'll be seeing you in another video. Till then,